Fear is not just a feeling that passes through the mind. It is a full-body command. The moment fear takes hold, the nervous system shifts into survival mode, and everything inside the body reorganizes around one priority: protection. Heart rate increases, muscles tighten, breathing becomes shallow, and energy is redirected away from long-term repair toward immediate defense. This response is brilliant when danger is real and short-lived, but when fear becomes constant, especially fear about health, the body never receives the signal that it is safe to heal. Here is the hidden cost most people never consider. A body in survival mode is not a healing body. It is a guarding body. It is braced, vigilant, and prepared for threat. Chronic fear keeps stress hormones circulating through the bloodstream, quietly interfering with immune regulation, digestion, hormonal balance, and cellular repair. The body is not malfunctioning in this state. It is obeying the message it is receiving, and that message is simple and relentless. Stay alert. Something is wrong. What makes this particularly powerful is that the nervous system does not distinguish between physical danger and imagined danger. A frightening diagnosis, a painful memory, a constant stream of alarming information, or the thought, "What if this never gets better?" can trigger the same biological response as a real emergency. The body reacts to perception, not just reality. This means fear itself can become the ongoing stressor it keeps healing out of reach. Consider this for a moment. What if your symptoms are not getting worse because your body is failing, but because it is stuck in protection mode? What if the body is doing exactly what it is designed to do under threat: tighten, conserve, defend? This question alone can change the entire relationship you have with your body. It shifts the story from helplessness to understanding. In survival mode, the body prioritizes immediate safety over long-term health. Repair mechanisms slow down, inflammation increases, sensitivity heightens, pain becomes louder, not quieter. This is not a flaw in the system, it is a feature. Pain and discomfort are amplified to keep your attention focused on perceived danger. The tragedy is that many people respond to this amplification with more fear, creating a self-reinforcing cycle that keeps the body locked in distress. Here is a critical insight. The body cannot heal what the mind insists is dangerous. As long as fear dominates, the nervous system remains guarded. But the moment fear begins to soften, even slightly, the physiology starts to change. Muscles release, breathing deepens, blood flow improves. The immune system receives permission to recalibrate. Healing does not require the absence of symptoms, it requires the presence of safety. Think about how different your body feels in moments of deep calm compared to moments of panic. That difference is not psychological, it is chemical, neurological, and measurable. Calm states activate restorative pathways. Fearful states suppress them. This means healing is not something you chase harder, it is something you allow by changing the internal environment. The most overlooked truth in modern health conversations is this: fear convinces the body that now is not the time to heal. Survival first, repair later. But later never arrives when fear becomes a lifestyle. Ending fear does not mean pretending nothing is wrong. It means teaching the nervous system that the threat has passed or that it can be handled without panic. When fear loosens its grip, the body does not suddenly become perfect, but it becomes cooperative. And a cooperative body heals far more effectively than a frightened one. The shift from survival to restoration is subtle, but it is profound. It is the difference between bracing against life and allowing life to move through you. The real hook is this: healing does not start when you do more, it starts when the body no longer feels under attack.
The body is constantly listening, not just to what you do, but to what you signal. One of the most powerful signals it responds to is safety. When the body feels safe, it shifts out of defense and into regulation, repair, and balance. This is not a philosophical idea, it is a biological requirement. Healing is not initiated by force or urgency, but by the nervous system's recognition that the environment, internal and external, is no longer threatening. Safety begins in the nervous system. When the brain perceives safety, it reduces stress signaling and allows resources to move toward digestion, immune coordination, hormonal balance, and cellular repair. When safety is absent, those same resources are diverted toward vigilance. Many people unknowingly live in a state where their body never receives the message that it is safe enough to heal. They rest, but the nervous system stays alert. They eat well, but digestion remains compromised. They follow protocols, but the body resists recovery because it is still guarding against danger. Here is the uncomfortable question most people never ask. What if your body is not resisting healing, but protecting you? What if the symptoms you are trying to eliminate are the body's way of staying prepared for a threat it believes is still present? This reframes the entire healing process. Instead of asking, "What else should I do?" the more powerful question becomes, "What would help my body feel safe right now?" Safety is communicated through small, consistent signals. Slow breathing, predictable routines, gentle movement, and moments of stillness all tell the nervous system that it does not need to stay on high alert. Even posture matters. A tense body reinforces the message of danger, while a relaxed body signals stability. The body learns safety not from logic, but from experience. You cannot think your way into safety. You must feel it. One of the most overlooked aspects of healing is emotional safety. Self-criticism, impatience, and constant monitoring of symptoms can keep the nervous system activated. When you watch the body with fear, it feels observed under threat. When you approach it with curiosity and respect, the internal environment changes. The chemistry shifts. Healing pathways begin to open, not because something was fixed, but because something was finally allowed. Consider how quickly the body responds to perceived safety. A single deep exhale can lower heart rate. A quiet moment can reduce muscle tension. A sense of reassurance can soften pain. These are not placebo effects. They are nervous system responses. The body is designed to move toward balance when given the right conditions. Safety is the condition most often missing. There is a powerful hook hidden here. The body does not need to be convinced to heal. It needs permission. That permission comes when fear quiets and safety becomes familiar. Many people wait for healing to feel safe, when in reality, safety must come first. The order matters. Chronic stress teaches the body that danger is normal. Over time, the nervous system forgets what calm feels like. This is why healing can feel uncomfortable at first. Stillness feels unfamiliar. Relaxation feels risky. But this discomfort is not a warning. It is a recalibration. The body is learning a new baseline. Trust plays a critical role in this process. Trust in the body's intelligence, trust in its timing, trust in its signals. When trust replaces urgency, the body responds with cooperation. Healing is not a battle to win, it is a state to return to. Safety is not passive, it is an active biological signal that tells every system in the body that repair is now possible. The most profound shift in healing occurs when safety becomes a daily experience rather than a temporary escape. When the nervous system repeatedly receives the message, "You are okay right now." Symptoms are often treated as intruders, unwanted disruptions that must be silenced, suppressed, or eliminated as quickly as possible. This mindset is deeply ingrained in modern health culture, and it shapes how people relate to their bodies from the moment discomfort appears. Pain triggers panic. Fatigue triggers frustration. Inflammation triggers fear. But what if this approach is fundamentally misguided? What if symptoms are not enemies at all, but intelligent signals attempting to communicate something essential? The body does not speak in language, yet it communicates constantly. It uses sensation, rhythm, intensity, and discomfort to convey information. A symptom is not random noise, it is structured feedback. When a system is under strain, out of balance, or overwhelmed, the body signals that state through sensation.
Ignoring or attacking the signal does not resolve the underlying message, it often amplifies it. This is why symptoms that are feared tend to persist, while those that are understood often soften. Here's a powerful hook to consider. Symptoms do not demand fear, they demand attention. Fear tightens the nervous system, increases stress hormones, and heightens sensitivity, which can intensify the very sensation you're trying to escape. Attention, on the other hand, invites regulation. When symptoms are approached with curiosity rather than resistance, the internal environment shifts from conflict to cooperation. Pain, for example, is not merely a problem to be eliminated, it is a protective mechanism. It draws awareness to areas that require care, rest, or change. When pain is met with fear, the brain amplifies its signal to ensure it is not ignored. When pain is met with understanding and safety, the brain can lower the volume. The same principle applies to fatigue, digestive discomfort, and inflammation. These are not failures, they are adaptive responses. One of the most damaging beliefs people carry is that symptoms mean something has gone wrong beyond repair. This belief alone can increase distress and prolong suffering. The nervous system responds not just to sensation, but to interpretation. If a symptom is interpreted as a threat, the body reacts defensively. If it is interpreted as information, the body remains engaged but calm. The difference between threat and information is the difference between escalation and resolution. Consider how often people monitor their symptoms with hypervigilance. They scan their bodies repeatedly, searching for change, improvement, or danger. This constant monitoring sends a message of mistrust. The body feels watched, judged, and pressured to perform. Under these conditions, regulation becomes difficult. Healing thrives in an atmosphere of patience, not scrutiny. Another critical insight is that symptoms often arise from cumulative stress rather than isolated dysfunction. Emotional strain, mental overload, and chronic tension can manifest physically long before conscious awareness catches up. The body speaks when the mind has been ignoring itself. In this sense, symptoms are not the problem, they are the invitation to realignment. There is a subtle but transformative shift that occurs when symptoms are respected instead of feared. The body no longer needs to shout. Sensations often become clearer, more precise, and less overwhelming. This clarity allows for appropriate response rather than reflexive suppression. Healing accelerates not because the symptom disappears instantly, but because the system feels heard. Here is another hook that challenges conventional thinking. The goal is not to eliminate symptoms at all costs, but to understand what they are protecting. When you ask, "What is this symptom trying to do for me?" the relationship with your body changes. Cooperation replaces conflict. Fear loses its grip. Symptoms are part of the body's self-regulating intelligence.
The mind is not a passive observer of the body. It is one of its most powerful regulators. Every thought carries biochemical consequences, and every expectation subtly shapes physiological response. Long before a change appears in tissue, immunity, or pain levels, the brain has already predicted what will happen next and adjusted the body accordingly. This predictive function is not a weakness of the human system, it is how the nervous system maintains order and safety. The challenge arises when these predictions are dominated by fear and negative expectation. Expectation acts like a lens through which the body interprets experience. When the mind expects harm, deterioration, or failure, the brain prepares the body for defense. Stress hormones rise, muscles tighten, sensitivity increases, and inflammatory responses are more easily triggered. The body is not malfunctioning in these moments, it is responding precisely to the instructions it is receiving. The most compelling hook here is this: the body often follows expectation more faithfully than reality. Modern neuroscience shows that the brain does not wait for events to occur before responding, it anticipates them.
If pain is expected, neural circuits amplify pain signals. If fatigue is expected, energy regulation shifts downward. If recovery feels unlikely, repair mechanisms slow. This process is largely unconscious, which is why people are often unaware of how deeply their thoughts are influencing their physical state. What feels like a purely physical problem may be strongly reinforced by mental prediction. There is a profound difference between realistic awareness and fear-based expectation. Awareness observes what is happening without projecting catastrophe. Fear-based expectation, however, tells a story about what will happen next, and the body responds as if that story is already true. This is why two people with the same condition can experience entirely different levels of suffering and recovery. Their biology is shaped not only by the condition itself, but by the meaning assigned to it. Consider the quiet power of hope, not as optimism, but as openness to possibility. When the mind allows for improvement, the nervous system relaxes its grip. Blood flow improves, pain modulation pathways activate, immune coordination becomes more efficient. These changes are measurable, not imagined. Hope alters chemistry. Expectation changes gene expression. This is not motivational language, it is psychoneuroimmunology. Here is a critical hook that challenges deeply held beliefs. Expectation does not follow healing. Healing follows expectation. Many people wait to feel better before allowing hopeful thoughts, but the sequence works in the opposite direction. The body needs the signal of possibility before it can mobilize repair. This does not mean denying discomfort or pretending everything is fine. It means choosing an internal narrative that does not trap the body in constant anticipation of threat. Language matters. Saying, "My body is struggling," creates a different physiological response than saying, "My body is adjusting." One invites alarm, the other invites patience. Repetition strengthens expectation. When fear-based thoughts are rehearsed daily, the nervous system learns them as default instructions. Over time, these instructions become automatic, shaping posture, breathing, muscle tone, and hormonal rhythm. The body lives inside the stories the mind repeats. Changing those stories is not superficial, it is a biological intervention. One of the most liberating realizations in healing is recognizing that you can influence your body without controlling it. You do not need to force change. You need to create conditions that encourage it. Calm expectation, gentle confidence, and trust in the body's capacity send powerful regulatory signals. The mind becomes a partner rather than a critic. The most important takeaway is this: thoughts are not just private experiences, they are signals. They inform the body about what to prepare for. When expectation shifts from fear to possibility, the body receives new instructions, and with new instructions, new outcomes become possible.